Islam Moors. This is your sister Tahita Najee-Ullah coming to you this first day of July 2014. Yes, it's amazing that we've already reached the halfway mark in this year. Today I'll be reading a blog post posted yesterday, Monday, June 30th, 2014, concerning an issue of certain Moors trying to usurp the productivity of myself. The title of the writ, which can be found at moorwrits.blogspot.com, is Moor versus Moor, How to Take a Moor to Court. Islam, mighty Moors. Ramadan Kareem. Note, this is one of numerous proper initiating greetings during this most blessed month. Islam is accommodating of local customs of the world's ummah. So like language, dialects exist while remaining in the bounds of an uncontested common reference. Those with a native level knowledge of Islam are fortunate to encounter most, if not all of them. Today's post is dedicated to those who adhere to the laws of the Holy Quran of Mecca, the Circle 7 Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and other scripture, avoiding the temptation to cherry pick when law interferes with their plans. Please review your favorite law dictionary, Quran, ephemeris, or other references before you contest any terms contained herein. Unless otherwise stated, rules referenced herein are federal rules of evidence. According to the lunar calendar, today, June 30th, 2014, is also the second day of Ramadan, 1435. Adept astrology reminds us to refer to the guides Allah has left in our skies. Indeed, He is the best of planners, having let the events of the first day of Ramadan transpire as they did. Here's a portion of what the heavens spoke for me on this second day. Horoscope for Libra. No, that's not my sun sign, as some might argue. It is a more important sign, and if you are an adept astrologist, you know why I'm looking at Libra instead of my sun sign. Your horoscope, Libra. You will be speaking out on an important issue, most likely because of a dysfunctional relationship in your circle of friends. Whether you are intimately involved or not, you will have strong opinions and should tread carefully if you want to be heard. On point. I, Tahita Najee-Ullah, speaking for and representing myself in this opinion based on sound, frequent observation, am tired of Moors misrepresenting this movement. Those who have known me since 2008 or who have kept current with my recent online activities should by now be well aware of my motives in this movement. Those who know my history in Islam know I was highly upset at Moors for keeping back information from their own people, then crying foul when they didn't have a chance to profit before some angel removed the covers. I strive to be the best of sisters, and I'm making up for lost time in championing this divine and national movement. That is why, when I have been accused of stealing anything from any temple or anybody fighting in the cause of Allah, I must speak. As you read this post, please remain cognitive that these are the actions of someone who is supposed to set the standard for the women in this temple and is the civics instructor for the same temple. Facts. Khalifa Media is an entity operating outside any temple's control. This was relayed to the Grand Sheikh months ago via email and text. As noted in the text, I was tired of waiting for the slow to get up and go and give the people what they need and want to know. Please see the affidavit for the full story behind this. Khalifa Media donates 20% of all royalties and profits from other operations to a worthy body working in the cause of Allah and our Moorish movement. This donation is for our Caught You Doing Good campaign and is made shortly after every equinox and solstice, or quarterly. I'm not crazy. I'm not stupid. I know better than to keep the prophet's finances. In this case, fear of Allah compelled me to add an additional portion from my personal earnings. On June 24, 2014, the winner was selected for Khalifa Media's first CYDG, or Caught You Doing Good, campaign. They were notified that day and received the aforementioned 20% for their works on the prophet's behalf. On June 30, 2014, the winners were presented with a certificate congratulating them on their good works. As the winners lived some distance away, Allah was most generous in allowing this group to be in town so soon after receiving their reward. I must interject. It was great presenting the certificate in person instead of mailing it in. Shortly after presenting their certificate that accompanied their financial gift, I was approached by the sheikess of Moorish Science Temple, 101, California, Cynthia Smith Bay, and another sister I did not recognize. I assumed she was a Muslim as she wore hijab. Again, I didn't know this individual. Smith Bay introduced the other sister as her, quote, witness, and simply told the awardee he was the other witness. As a student of law, legal, and Sharia, I have learned that you have to ask someone to be your witness if it is not related to court testimony. You would think the civics instructor and leader in a Muslim temple would know this and the following, quote, and if there is not two men available, then a man and two women from those whom you accept as witnesses, so that if one of the women errs, then the other can remind her. Surah 2, line 282 of the Holy Quran of Mecca. As I've been subjected to Smith Bay's rants before, curiosity prevented me from leaving what I was well aware would be an emotional scene. She first admitted she knew the Grand Sheik and I had dealings she was not fully aware of. This is known as disqualifying your testimony. Smith Bay proceeded to accuse me of stealing from the temple, ambush tactics, and worse yet, with the added effect of dragging two people into a matter you yourself admitted you were not fully versed in, violation of Act 3, quote-unquote, sheikess. Before she could embarrass herself, her white turban, and her temple any further, I refused her inappropriate attempt to deny my due process. Again, something you think she would know. So I advised her to, quote, put it in writing and bring your evidence. Basic civics. Emotion is blinding. The reluctant witness concurred, or rather he tried to. Smith Bay has an established reputation of not letting people finish speaking and talking over brothers. No Muslim woman of quality would be comfortable with such an individual in leadership over the mothers of Islam. I may be mistaken, but I can only assume she was attempting to employ a form of jurisprudence practiced among those who can't read or write. Yes, according to Islam, you need to have two male witnesses, or one male and two female, or four female. If you review the story, you'll see she got that part wrong too. But this is if you are unable to, or after you put your complaint in writing. Quote, I will leave the European here long enough for you to learn how to run a government. So, are we going to reject recorded testimony served appropriately over snatching two innocents into something without their knowledge of the situation? Later that evening, I contacted Smith Bay, reminding her the only knowledge she has of anything having to do with Khalifa Media was hearsay. I doubt she even knows what that word means, considering how she acted in this situation. I requested she refrain from using the temple to inject herself into a matter she had contributed nothing to and admittedly knew nothing of. I received from Smith Bay a text insisting I have admitted to being a thief. This is official rebuttal of the statements made by Smith Bay in this email. I am not a thief. She cannot prove that I've ever stolen anything from anyone, and I haven't. As noted in the affidavit, which is available on scribe.com, califamedia.com, and if you search Khalifa Media on Facebook, there's a copy there as well. As noted in this affidavit, she was at no time a direct witness to any collaboration having to do with Khalifa Media. And for the audience's information, the Sisters Auxiliary Guide has been in Smith Bay's possession for over 2 years. Now that a completed copy is available, she's trying to lay claim to something she's had time and opportunity to turn into a masterpiece. Worse, she's trying to use the temple to do it, as she has no camel in this race. Can't help but wonder why she can't bring out her own version, like Sister Candace Shabazz. Instead, the barren crone is trying to steal the baby she was unable to produce. Sister Shabazz might want to watch her back. In the interest of saving reading space, I have published for public inspection, as these are public officials, my affidavit of the events as they transpired. Stay tuned for the YouTube notice. Now you probably see why one should keep impeccable records. And unfortunately, most especially when dealing with a people notorious for abusing their helpers, the more assistance the helper provides. J. Edgar Hoover was a great historian. You might want to look into him. It should be noted that Taylor L. and Smith Bay have all the files they claim I stole. There's an email on the Moorish blog that covers what was the final straw in dealing with them. Taylor L. admitted the next day after they tried to accuse me, I found out they were actually doing what they're accusing me of doing. They were trying to do it to me, but didn't know what they were doing. So, and then Taylor L. admitted the next day that they had, quote, it was an accident. And then the next day, he proceeded to accuse me of trying to steal or change some other temple paperwork that I didn't even have access to. This was a waste of time. I have more than once expressed concern to the Grand Sheik here in California of the inappropriate behavior of their Sheikess, Cynthia Smith Bay. I have told him more than once over the nearly year I was with their temple, I did not want to be a Sheikess because of Moors behaving badly, but I never named names. Shortly before my necessary departure from the Moorish Science Temple 101 California, I finally released my tongue and told him the cause of my repulsion. Allah willing, Smith Bay will stop proving me correct as she did the first day of Ramadan. Yes, names are usually omitted to protect the innocent, but this has exceeded what's acceptable among Moors in general and among temple leadership specifically. This is not the first time she has confronted me with no supporting evidence about something I had not committed. If I were any other nationality, the Negro in her would have made a mouse look less meek. Again, I am tired of Moors, quote unquote, misrepresenting this movement, creating scenarios in their heads, and then creating drama to go with it in reality. It's distracting. It's repulsive, especially to those who have been taught to avoid disharmony. Moors who have had consistent interaction with those of other nationalities know, prima facie, we're assumed to have no self-control and an inability to remain within the bounds of civics, especially when we're wrong. You've likely heard the amazement in their tone when they comment on how we treat outsiders much better than we treat our own. But it's all good. I can't help but take these recent attacks as a sign I'm proceeding correctly. The following is an excerpt from the Mahabharata, the section on the Kali Yuga, which we are currently passing through. And men with false reputation of learning will, by their acts, cause truth to be contracted and concealed. And in consequence of the shortness of their lives, they will not be able to acquire much knowledge. And in consequence of the littleness of their knowledge, they will have no wisdom. And for this, covetousness and avarice will overwhelm them all. She's greedy. It's obvious. The kings of the earth, with souls steeped in ignorance and discontented with what they have, will at such time rob their subjects by every means in their power, and without doubt, the whole world will be, excuse me for this one, malekified. You'll have to look that one up, or you can go to the writ and it's expounded on the writ. And when the end of the yuga comes, the right hand will deceive the left, and the left the right. And men will, with false reputation of learning, will contract truth, and the old will betray the senselessness of the young, and the young will betray the dotage of the old. And cowards will have the reputation of bravery, and the brave will be cheerless like cowards. And towards the end of the yuga, men will cease to trust one another. And when the end of the yuga comes, urged by their very dispositions, men will act cruelly and speak ill of one another. Again, that's the Mahabharata speaking on the Kali Yuga. Say, what thing is greatest in testimony? Say, Allah is witness between me and you. Surah 6:19. Ah, civics. Sounds a lot like logic and nothing like emotion. Enough. I represent myself, so I will not be associated with that sort of behavior. I hold myself to the highest standard in thought and deed for the same reason. I was not a member of a temple before I came to Los Angeles, The atrocious behavior of these specific Moors demonstrates perfectly why so many temples are as empty as they are. Reiterating my, quote, killing their own comment, look at what happens when you attempt to celebrate those who set the same high standards. Keep in mind, I have no interest in being a sheikist or take over anybody's anything. I sincerely hope there is more to this than rights over a company you don't know how to run because your first day is still pending. And that, dear Moors, is how you take Moors to court. The jury of interested peers, as demonstrated by reading this far or listening this far, have been noticed via affidavit supported by evidence. The accuser now has 30 days from the posting of this notice to rebut it in any form she can handle. And in light of the parties' limited technical abilities, a certified copy will be mailed to them so as to perfect service. Basics. Now that I have relieved myself of the distraction imposed by the Mariska Smith, I can return to focusing my attention on Allah where it belongs, most especially during this holy month of Ramadan. Please comment, but again, perform your due diligence before you do so. No hearsay, please. Facts and evidence only. Peace and love. Ramadan Kareem, your sister, Tahida S. Najee-Ullah L. Side note, I grew up Nation of Islam in Chicago and never heard of the Moors before encountering them in Georgia in 2008. Second side note, all details concerning these dealings can be found in affidavits available by going to moorritz.blogspot.com or Facebook and searching for Khalifa Media, or on Facebook, Khalifa Law. Thank you for your time and attention, and please let us know if we can help you address any grievances you have with, I'm reluctant to say fellow Moor. We'd be glad to assist you to help solve your issue, mediate, without bringing the court into our business, because all they're going to do is make things worse. Islam and peace be unto you.